I said,
I want to welcome everybody to Open Mic Night. And our very first song is actually by a guy that I went to college with when everything started with COVID. He kind of felt like he was in jail, and so he put together this. This is a kind of a throwback. He tells you right up front that he's not Johnny Cash, but he sounds like a lot like him. So, Bill, if you could fire up Jim Huffman singing "Folsom Prison." Is that the one you were having troubles with?
Thumbs up.
All right, here we go. Enjoy.
Oh.
Hello, I'm not Johnny Cash. I hear that train a-comin', it's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a-rollin' on down to San Antone. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. And when I hear that lonesome whistle, I hang my head and cry. And now I'm in my own quarantine prison. I'm gonna get out someday. Might go to the store, try to buy toilet paper or hand sanitizer. I bet there's rich folks eating in a fancy dining car. They're probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free. But those people keep a-moving, and that's what tortures me. I got my rubber gloves, I got my mask. I might take the trash out. I know, you're thinking, rebel. True, we live on the wild side. Well, if they freed me from this prison, if that railroad train was mine, I bet I'd move it on a little farther down the line. Far from Folsom Prison, that's where I want to stay. And I'd let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. Y'all stay safe now, you hear?
So, as you can see, Jim's trying to stay safe. He's got all the stuff going on with the hand sanitizer, and he's got himself some toilet paper and all that going on. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We mentioned last week, for those of you that weren't here last month. Those of you that weren't here last month, everyone was going to come up with a camping story. Last month, we had a pretty good time talking about different things, and I thought it made a lot of sense to give everybody a theme. So those of you that weren't here last month, be thinking of a good camping story that you'd be willing to share. The funnier, the better. So seeing as I've got some folks that were here, is there anybody that was here last month that has a camping story that they'd like to share right up front? If not, I've got one in my back pocket. Go, Joel, go.
Well, my camping story goes back to when I was in Boy Scouts.
And the first troop I was part of was Troop 335 in Raytown, Missouri, sponsored by the RLDS Church at the time. And I was very fortunate through my Boy Scout time to have be affiliated with Community of Christ troops with leaders who were also leaders in the church, leaders in the troop and leaders in the church. And we had this one camp out. It was in the spring, latest spring. And again, this is in the Independence, Kansas City area. And it happened to be in Lone Jack, Missouri. And Lone Jack is in southeastern Jackson County. It's, half hour or so from Independence, very rural. And one of our leaders knew a farmer who had a nice place. And he had a beautiful little pond, about an acre pond. It was mowed around it. And so he told us that we could have an overnight camping trip there. Actually, it's 2 overnights. We would go on a Friday and then we'd come back on a Sunday morning after a worship service. So anyway, so again, it's probably late April, early May, and the weather that time of year in that part of the country can be pretty volatile. So anyway, we had a good night Friday, and we woke up Saturday, and we cooked breakfast over our fire, and we cleaned up our camping area, and we took a hike, and we worked on merit badges and did all sorts of the usual Boy Scout type stuff. And as the evening was wearing on, or getting into the late afternoon, early evening, we made our dinner and we'd cleaned up from that, and we noticed the sky was getting a little dark, and it got darker, and it got darker. And of course, we're in tents, and it starts to rain a little bit. Then it starts to rain harder and harder, and the wind blows harder and harder until it was blowing a gale. And as it turns out, all the tents got blown flat. So, and the wind is just howling, and everybody's running around like crazy people. And the leaders are saying, throw everything into the cars. We're getting out of here, because everybody's worried we might be in the middle of a tornado or one might be close. So anyway, we're just grabbing everything we can find and throwing it into our trailer and into the back of station wagons, which is what everybody had back then. And we've tossed everything in there. And again, the wind is howling and it's raining like crazy. We're soaking wet. We don't know if we're going to get blown all the way back to Kansas or what's going to happen to us. And a buddy and I, we see a flattened tent and we just grab it. One of us grabs one end and one grabs the other. And we're carrying this tent and we notice it's a little bit heavy, but over the howling wind, we hear this screaming inside the tent. And so we think, what in the world is that? We put the tent down and out pops our littlest scout, a little tenderfoot. He didn't weigh 70 pounds. And he's just going crazy. Thought we were trying to kill him or something. We're going to throw him in the back of the trailer and forget all about him. So anyway, that's one of my better camping stories. It doesn't involve a skunk anyway.
I'm kind of wondering if that poor kid thought that this was a rite of passage or something for him to be a true scout. He had to be drug along the ground in his tent.
Yeah, we did do a little bit of initiation stuff back then, nothing real extreme, and we really had to pull some strings to have a near tornado come up for his initiation. So
I was going to say that's an awful lot of work for an initiation.
That's a lot of work right there.
All right. Let's keep the party rolling here. We have a song coming up that's from Dave Berg, and he's got some background vocals that you might recognize.
Woke up this morning, life as you know it looks nothing like the kind of life you knew before. All of a sudden, fear stole the headlights, and it don't feel safe to even step outside your door. In this world, you will have trouble. Take heart, take a breath. Let me lift that heavy weight up on your chest. I know it's looking dark. When the world falls all around you, I won't let you fall apart. So take heart. Take heart. You remember singing back when you were younger. He's got the whole world in his hands. Well, that's still true. I hold your family, all your friends and all your loved ones. And even when you're barely hanging on, I'm holding you. So take heart, take a breath. Let me lift that heavy weight up off your chest. Take my hand, I know it's looking dark. When the world falls all around you, I won't let you fall apart. So take heart. Take heart. Take heart. Take heart.
All right, I'm going to jump right in and tell my camping story just because it kind of falls off of Joel's there. When I was a young man, I was in a Boy Scout troop in Columbia, Missouri. And in that Boy Scout troop, I was one of the new guys that I was going to a new school. I was going from a private school to a public school. I didn't know any of the kids at the public school. The only one person I knew in that troop was a guy named Alan Wilson. And Alan Wilson was my best friend from church. So I joined this troop and I thought, I was going to be in Alan Wilson's patrol, right? They've got, those of you that don't know Boy Scouts, they've got groups of kids, and each one of these groups of kids is called a patrol. Well, you're supposed to be buddies, you're supposed to get to know each other, and you're supposed to be it's your buddy system. These are supposed to be your buddies. Well, I didn't know anybody, so the first camp out, I got paired with a kid named John Symington. And I didn't know anything about John Symington. He seemed like a decent enough kid. I didn't have any problem camping with him. So that night, just like Joel's story, we got some rain. It got dark and cloudy, and it got a little bit of rain. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and my sleeping bag was wet. I thought, well, that's kind of odd. I looked outside, and yeah, it was wet outside, but I couldn't see where any of the rain had gotten inside our tent. Well, it's just needless to say, let's just say that's the last time I ever camped with Mr. Symington. I'll just leave it at that. All right. So what's next, Bill? I think we've got love building a bridge, do we not?
What's next is Love Can Build a Bridge. Yes.
That's the one. Let's do it. Oh, and I will need to introduce this a little bit here. This is my wife, Deanna Foss, and her sister, Doreen Best. She's in town for the week. So we thought we'd take advantage of her musical talents.
I'd gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet to share with you the last bite of bread I had to eat. I would swim out to safety in your sea of broken dreams. When all your hopes are sinking, let me show you what love means. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I would whisper love so loudly every heart would understand that love and only love can join the tribes of man. I would give my heart's desire so that you might see. The first step is to realize that it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? When we stand together, it's our finest hour. We can do anything, anything. Keep believing in the power of love and build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Well, I didn't really set that up very well, but I mean, if ever we needed a song like that, I think right now is probably the time. With all the dichotomies in our world and all of the challenges and struggles with people having very hardened positions and not really thinking about other people. So I appreciate Deanna and Doreen sharing that with us. All right, we're open to another camping story.
I have
All right.
one.
Okay, wait a second. Bill, I've got Carol. She got her hand up first. I'm gonna let her go.
Okay.
You'll be between the next song.
Hey, age before beauty, Bill.
You have both, Carol.
This one goes way back to 1962, the year I graduated from high school. I had two friends, and we decided we wanted to go to Mesa Verde. I grew up in Durango, and to camp out. And of course, our parents thought we were crazy, and because we didn't have a tent, and the only tent we could find was one of the dads had a 6-man hunting tent, and they said if we could put it up in the backyard that we could go. So we struggled a long time, but we got it there. And so they kind of had to say yes. Of course, we didn't really tell them that there were some guys that were working at Mesa Verde that we might like to, drop in and see as well. but that's a different story. My brother-in-law and sister were in Germany, and they had a 57 Chevy. If you know what a 57 Chevy is, it's a pretty cool car. And for some crazy reason, they told me I could drive it. They thought I was driving it to work, but we drove it to Mesa Verde. And the first thing I did was back into the campsite, and there's, poles that block off the campsite, like so that you don't go into the forest too much. And I promptly backed in and broke one headlight. I thought, oh dear. Okay, we're in trouble. So then we go off to, we knew the guys were about to get off work, and we went out to find them and discovered, much to our dismay, they worked very early and they had hours, and they had to be back in their dorm at 8 o'clock at night. So we didn't have very much time to spend with these guys, but then we went to the campfire, and it was all wonderful. We went back to camp, and I backed in, and I broke the other tail light. So somehow my brother-in-law and I are still friends because I was able to get them fixed before they got home from Germany.
Wonderful, wonderful story. That's terrible. I mean, but it was pretty slick that you were able to get it fixed, and you had obviously you were working, so you had a little bit of money. So what did getting a tail light fixed back in what'd you say, 61?
62.
62.
All I knew that it meant that I could only have one piece of pizza when I went to Graceland on Friday nights. Let's just put it that way.
Got it. All right. Hey, we found out that there are 3 birthdays this month. Trish Church, George Bowser, and Alvin Vickery. So Ellen is going to Ellen's going to play the harmonica, and everyone feel free to sing along. And we're going to sing happy birthday to those 3 folks, even though they're not with us today, but they're here in spirit. Happy birthday.
Sorry.
Thank you, Ellen. That was awesome. All right, Bill, I think our next song is Morgan and Jonah. And this is another one of those songs that's really appropriate right now. And you may end up hearing this on Sunday again.
We may not yet have reached our glory, but I will gladly join the fight. And when our children tell their story, they'll tell the story of tonight. They'll tell the story of tonight. Tonight.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear, like you could fall and no one could hear?
Well, let that lonely feeling wash away.
All we see is
'Cause maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay.
For
'Cause when you don't feel
forever.
strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand.
Raise a glass to freedom, something they can never take away, no matter what they tell you.
Someone will come running, they'll take you on.
Raise a glass to all of us, tomorrow there'll be more of us, telling the story of tonight.
Out of the shadows, the morning
They'll
is
tell the story
breaking,
of
and all
tonight.
is new.
All is new.
All is new.
It's only a matter when you need a friend to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. If you only look around, you will be found. And when the children tell their story, you will be found. They'll tell the story of tonight. Oh, no matter what they tell you, tomorrow there'll be more of us telling the story of tonight. The story of tonight.
Okay, so Morgan lives in Greeley, Colorado. And for those of you that know Morgan, you know that. But those of you that don't, she's a member of our church, and she was one of my kids from Spec back in the late 2005, 2010-ish range. And she's the same age as my son. The two of them went to school together. But I just love her voice, and I really love her brother's voice as well. They both harmonize beautifully. Her family, they used to be kind of like the Von Trapp singers. They were the Bradford singers, and they sang in church from when they were old enough to walk all the way. Obviously, she just got married. Her last name now is Diaz, Morgan Diaz, instead of Bradford. So a little bit of trivia there for you. All right, Bill, you were wanting to, you had a story you wanted to tell about camping.
I do. Well, I don't know if you know where I grew up from, but I grew up in Montana. And of course, that's all we did during the summers. We went camping. So you can imagine all the stories I could tell. You know, I could probably be on here for 2 hours talking about camping stories. But I'm going to tell you one that is really memorable. And I came from a family of miners. So we had mining claims in Montana. We had one in Argenta, that's close to Dillon. And then we had one up in the Pintler Mountain Range, close to Anaconda, where Georgetown is, just west of Butte, if you guys know where that is. But we'd go up there every year because we had to do mining reclamation claiming so that we could keep the land. And so we'd go up there, and of course, if you're up there, right next to the wilderness. I mean, so we are on BLM land, but we owned the land because we had mining claims there, and we had patented the mining claims later. But we had a cabin up there because we had leased the land out to a company, and they had built a cabin and a gallows frame and a mine shaft and all of that. And so there was a road there, an old road. And so we're going through the cabin. Of course, we brought our camper up. We had one of those, campers that got in the back of the truck. So we were kind of pretty much flush camping. and so we go inside the cabin, and we're looking inside the cabin, and all of a sudden there's these head of deer, they're mule deer, coming down the road. And my dad goes, "Watch this." So the door's half cocked open, and we're all looking out. My brother and I and my dad were looking at these deer crossing the road. And my dad whistles. He goes out and whistles. Well, the deer stop dead in their tracks. I mean, they just stop dead in their tracks. And they look around, and they're seeing what's going on. And they said, "Okay, there's nothing out there," because they couldn't see us because we were inside the cabin. So they started to walk again. So they go slowly a little bit, and my dad whistles again. And the deer stop right dead in their tracks again. And this is no lie. after my dad did this several times, the deer got down on their haunches and they crawled across the road. An amazing story.
I have never heard of that.
Yeah.
You know, in college we used to do cow tipping. I've never heard of deer haunches or deer crawling.
Deer
That's a new
whistling.
one. That's hilarious. All right. Well, the next song that we've got is you'll probably recognize a couple of the people. Those of you that are from the church. The song is called "Endless Love," and without being too sappy, it does involve my wife, and I do truly feel like I have an endless love.
My love, there's only you in my life, the only thing that's right.
My first love, your every breath that I take, your every step I make.
And I want to share all my love with you. No one else will do.
And your
eyes, they tell me how much you care. Oh yes, you will always be my endless love. Two hearts that beat as one. Our lives have just begun. Forever, I'll hold you close in my arms. I can't resist your charm. I'll be that fool for you, I'm sure.
You know I don't mind.
Oh, you know I don't mind, 'cause you mean the world to me. My endless love. Oh, oh, oh. Bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, and love, oh love, I'll be that fool for you, I'm sure.
You know I don't mind.
Oh, you know I don't mind. That yes, you'll be the only one, 'cause no one can deny this love I have inside. I'll give it all to you, my love, my endless love.
if we ever get to go back to karaoke, that's one of our go-tos that we like to share with the karaoke crowd. So now we're looking for another camping story. Oh, I got a hand up from Lee Payne. You gotta unmute.
Yeah, we were on a church canoe trip in Wisconsin, and there were about on the Flambeau River. There were about 50 of us, and we had stopped for the night to camp. Got camp all set up, got everything squared away, and everybody, was in their tent for the night. Everything was tied down, we thought, and woke up in the middle of the night. Somebody was yelling, "There's a bear in our camp." So we're peeking out of a little 2-man tent, and the bear was right in the center eating our breakfast. He ate everything he could get a hold of, and he was a huge bear. And we had a bag outside of our tent that had suntan lotion in it, really good smelling stuff, and our rain ponchos and our toothpaste, that kind of stuff. Well, he drug all of that back into the woods, scattered it all over the place. And they told us, they said, if you have anything to make noise with, bang on it just to get him to get out of the camp. Well, Dave and I are in our tent, and I look around and he's got his knife pulled. And I thought, what is he going to do with the knife and a big bear? And I looked at him and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "If he comes over here, I'm going out the back of this tent."
Yeah, I definitely wasn't going to fight him.
Yeah, I thought he was the big macho guy going to take care of me, and he's going out the back of the tent.
Well, you guys have heard the story about the 2 guys that there's a bear chasing. One of the guys putting his tennis shoes on. You guys, what are you doing? He goes, I don't have to outrun the bear. I have to outrun you.
Yeah, this is
sounds like Dave was getting out of the tent before you did.
Yeah.
That's right.
Those were fancy trips we used to take with youth.
Yeah.
You get me going on canoeing trips, and I'll be here all night. But I did have one when you talked about the canoeing trip. When I was a younger person, we went on a canoe trip with the church one time, and we didn't have any toilet paper, and so my dad just said, just grab a leaf. Well, I grabbed a leaf, but I didn't see what leaf I grabbed. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. All right. I believe is it time for Double B?
I think it is.
All right. Bring it on, Double B.
Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you, oh, I need you. Every hour I need you, my one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Where sins run deep, your grace is more. Where grace is found, is where you are. And where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Teach my soul to rise to you. When temptation comes my way, I cannot stand up all on you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. You're my one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. God bless each and every one of you. Amen.
Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
Thank you.
That one may end up on Sunday too. You just never know. Since I'm in charge on Sunday, I get to kind of pick and choose.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
You could be. If you don't want to be on Sunday, you might be in trouble. Hey, I thought I saw Ellen's hand go up earlier. Ellen, did you have a camping story you wanted to share? You got to take your mute off.
I have two camping things I want to share. I've been to so many camps, but I have two. One was when I was about 12 years old. I was in Girl Scouts, and we had a weekend retreat in Washington State up in the woods, and we had to camp out in a cabin. No electricity, nothing electric, only a fire, camp bar, and that was about it. And the girls on the way up there, there's this big like canopy type thing, and the other girl says, we're going to sleep outside. And I kept telling them it's September, and in Washington it rains. And I said, you're going to get wet. And so in the night, I was sleeping on the floor, and somehow I woke up cold. My sleeping bag was one place, I was the other place. My leader said I walked in my sleep. I went to the door, started to open the door and say, girls, you better come in. It's cold and you're going to get wet out there. And so I turned around and went right back to sleep, the leader said. My second real experience that I always remember, we climbed Mount Silver Star, which is in Washington, when I was 12, when I went to junior camp, our church junior camp at Lewis River Campgrounds in Washington State. And we climbed to the top of the mountain. We were cold and tired. When we got up there, we had a little worship service. And I can remember, if Zion is like Zion is supposed to be, it was so much peace. And we were up there, and you could almost take your hand and touch the clouds. They were down so low. It was so beautiful. And that experience was really nice.
You know what I love about this? Thank you for sharing, Ellen. I get to know a little bit about you guys through your stories. And I do appreciate you sharing them. And I appreciate you being here. So we're gonna keep this on a high note. I think the next song is something about sunshine, isn't it, Bill?
It sure is.
All right.
You Are the Sunshine of My Life by Mark Sneeden.
You are the sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always be around. You are the apple of my eye. Forever you'll be in my heart. I feel like this is the beginning. Though I've loved you for a million years. And if I thought our love was ending, I'd find myself drowning in my own tears. You are the sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always be around. You are the apple of my eye. Forever you'll be in my heart. You must have known that I was lonely, 'cause you came to my rescue. And I know this must be heaven. How could so much love be inside of you? You are the sunshine of my life. That's why I'm gonna be hanging around. You are the apple of my eye. Forever you'll be in my heart. You are the sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always be around. You are the apple of my eye. Forever you'll be in my heart.
Hey, Mark, I have a favor. Next time, could you get some dark sunglasses and sway your head like Stevie Wonder? That would be awesome.
I need to get some better hair. My hair's not long enough to do that. He always had those that hair with the beads in it. It just it really worked. It really worked for him. Rosalie, I cannot believe that we've gone almost an hour and you have not shared one story, you or Ralph.
You call? I'm a polite lady.
You're a what?
Polite.
You're shy?
No, I'm not. I do have a good story.
All right, let's hear it.
Years ago, the Remington men let me go on a deer hunt with them. There was Ralph, his dad, and his little brother, who was a teenager at the time. his dad had a camper that just barely slept 4. So it was just right. And Ralph and I went to bed, and his dad went to bed. And then in straggled a teenager. And he opened the door and he said, "Dad, what was up?" Now that might not take many of you, but it set me off into gales of laughter. I kept them awake for an hour or two. My giggles about Dad, which way's up.
He was pertaining to which was the head of the bed there, which way to put his head. And he just didn't do it right.
I just don't understand why you're all not just hysterical over that. I still get hysterical thinking about it.
Well,
anyway, that's my story.
Rosalie, I'm struggling to hear you guys the technology is kind of hurting us a little bit. You're kind of chopping up. Did you guys all get the story? Did everybody else get the story that Rosalie was telling? You guys heard it. Okay, good. Maybe it's my computer. Coralie, did you have a story you wanted to share? You're the last one that hadn't spoken yet. You got to get your mute off.
How's that?
That's it. Now we got you. Now we can hear you.
Okay. This one was up at Samish Island in northwest Washington. Yeah, have any of you been there? Ellen has, I know. They have a big campground there, probably 68 acres, right on Savage Bay, and extremely beautiful. But when you camp there, it's kind of like staying in a motel, you know. Pretty nice. But we were put in the kitchen on kitchen duty one day, and we had the singles there, and one of our single persons was from Canada. Her last name is Weiss, and we were commandeered to go in the kitchen and work, and she was making coffee cake, and I don't remember what I was doing, but we weren't watching her too closely. But it smelled good when it came out of the oven, and we all went over to get a hunk and along with our eggs and other things. And I bit down on that coffee cake and I thought, ew, you know, the grain is a little strange, and I'm looking at it and it's full of coffee grounds. So she read she was reading the recipe and it said 1 cup of coffee. So she did. She put a cup of the grounds in. And do you think we ever let her forget it?
I wouldn't. No, absolutely not. And the stories that I'm hearing here, I'll be able to share parts of that with you guys going forward. Is there anyone else that wanted to share that didn't get a chance to? Amy, I see you up here. I don't see you say anything. I haven't heard Deanna with any camping stories. This is your last chance. All right. We have one last song, and it's not even a full song. It's just a little snippet. But this is just an opportunity for me to show off my my son's keyboard abilities. So this is his band. It's actually not his band. His Ricky Van Patten is the drummer. He's the guy who sings, and that's the name of the band. So enjoy.
Hey, Mark, Amy, Rose rose her hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rose. Jump in here. Rosalie, were you wanting to speak?
Ralph has a story.
All right, let's hear it.
How funny this is, but years ago, Rosalie and I and two of the kids, our children, left and to go camping in mountains, and we got a late start, and by the time we got up around that area, it was dark and I was tired and everything. So we decided just to sleep on the ground that night. So we took the tarp on the ground and filled our air mats and got in our sleeping bags and then pulled the tarp again over the top of us. In the morning, it was so dark, I felt a hot breath on my face. And some strange noises. And I really become concerned about what kind of an animal was breathing in my face. Was it a bear or what was it? So finally I worked up enough courage to open my eyes and look, and staring me in the face was an old cow. So to make a story a little shorter, we got up and packed up to leave, and we found out that we had spent the night in the middle of a cow camp.
Too funny. Too funny.
We
I
did
love
that
it.
in the sheep camp one night.
Too funny. Well, I wanted to thank you guys all for being here. We'll wrap it up with this last song, just kind of on the way out. And you guys can take off and go enjoy your evening doing whatever else it is you guys are going to do. And I greatly appreciate you guys supporting us. And I enjoy getting to know you guys a little better each month that we get together.
Hey, Mark, really, really good offerings tonight. I mean, just some really top-notch stuff. This gets better and better every month. So thank you so much, and appreciation to all the artists you finagled or coerced or whatever you did to get them to participate. Good job on that.
Thank you. We'll keep changing it up, keep it fresh, and we'll figure out something for next month as far as new stories and ideas. Maybe maybe something from school. A story that you guys remember from school that will surprise people or make people laugh a little bit. All right, Bill, we're ready when you are.
Winds will churn
All right. Thanks for listening to that, guys. Just to give you some background, the reason you don't hear the whole song is because these guys are big Fish fans, and some of those songs go on for 20 minutes. So I just kind of cut it short so we could enjoy it. So thank you guys.
What kind of music it was, Mark? I've never heard of music.
It's like fusion. They call it fusion rock. So I'll leave that. I'll let you guys, your imagination go where you want to go with that. But yeah, he's doing what he loves to do. I don't think he'll ever get rich doing it, but you know, that's half the battle, is doing what you love to do, right? All right, guys, that's all we've got for this month. Hopefully we'll see you again next month. I think that'll be what is that, October 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's October 5th. I'm not seeing a vaccine coming anytime soon, so I'm going to guess that we're still going to be on. We're still not going to be meeting at the church yet, so we'll just do virtual for another month, and we'll see when we get a chance to do it in person. So thanks again, guys. We'll see you next month, or we'll see you Sunday at church.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for joining.
Okay.
See you guys.
Great.